All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're turning back the clock thousands of years to look at the night sky through a completely different lens. Have you ever looked up at the moon and just felt, I don't know, a sense of random floating chaos in the universe? Well, ancient astronomers didn't see it that way at all, not even a little bit. They looked up and saw a giant, meticulously ordered clockwork system. So today, we're decoding a deeply fascinating ancient text that details the exact, and I mean exact, celestial mechanics of this cosmic machine.
Okay, let's dive into this. The text begins with this rather dramatic, mystical opening directly about the moon. It says, "And I saw another course and law for her, making her monthly course according to that law." I just love how definitive that is. It isn't a suggestion, it isn't just a loose pattern, it is a law. The author is setting the stage right away to prove that the universe is governed by strict, unbreakable rules. And to understand these laws, the narrator of our source text didn't just look up and guess. They actually had a very specific teacher pointing out the math of the heavens.
Which brings us to Part 1, Uriel's Cosmic Guidebook. So, meet our cosmic guide. According to the text, this incredibly complex astronomical knowledge was revealed by Uriel, who is described as the holy angel, who is the leader of them all. Uriel's job in this narrative is essentially to pull back the curtain on the universe for us. He's the ultimate navigator, revealing literally every hidden mechanism that keeps the celestial bodies moving exactly as they should.
And the narrator, Enoch, acted as a dedicated cosmic scribe, writing down exactly what Uriel showed him. We're talking meticulous records here, the positions of the celestial bodies, the exact months, and the precise appearance of the lights. He was documenting the visual, hard mathematical proof of this divine order. This wasn't just ancient poetry, you guys. He was practically writing a technical manual for the sky.
Moving on to our second chapter, Mechanics of the Moon.
Here's where the text gets incredibly specific about breaking down the moon's phases into physical, observable mechanics. It mathematically divides the moon's cycle in this brilliantly simple way. The author notes that over the first half of the month, the moon completes her light in 7 single parts over in the east. By day 15, bam, the light is fully completed. Then, in the second half of the cycle, she completes all her darkness in the west, again in 7 single parts. It's this perfectly symmetrical 15-day cycle of waxing and waning. They treated it not as some unknowable mystery, but as a literal equation of light and shadow. But you might be wondering, how do these bodies actually physically navigate across the sky?
And this brilliantly illustrates our third chapter, the celestial portals. Now, right off the bat, we need to define what a portal actually meant to this ancient author. Please put any thoughts of sci-fi wormholes or glowing magical doors completely out of your mind. In this ancient astronomical model, portals are literal physical gateways stationed right along the horizon. Think of them as fixed cosmic stations that dictate exactly where the sun and the moon are allowed to rise and set throughout the year. The sky is essentially a giant track with very specific doors.
Let's compare their cosmic routines because they're a bit different. The sun comes forth from these fixed portals on a very rigid, reliable schedule. But the moon has what the text calls a peculiar course, shifting her settings in certain months. However, they aren't totally flying solo. The text specifically highlights where their routes intersect. In 2 very specific portals, the third and fourth portals located right in the middle, the moon sets exactly with the sun. It is a perfectly choreographed celestial meetup.
And the text actually traces this mechanical choreography day by day. Let's follow the steps for one of these complex maneuvers. When the sun comes out of the 4th portal, the moon comes out of the 5th portal for 7 days. Then she returns again in 7 days into the 4th portal to complete her light. Finally, she recedes and enters the 1st portal in 8 days. It's this beautiful, intricate dance of coming forth, returning, and receding through these numbered gateways, all while keeping absolutely perfect time.
Which leads us directly into our final chapter, the divine calendar math.
All right, here is the ultimate puzzle of this ancient explainer. How do you actually sync up the cycles of the sun and the moon? Well, the text establishes a very firm baseline. According to this ancient system, a perfect, divine, solar year is exactly 364 days. The text describes this 364-day cycle as executing exact justice in the heavens. It's a beautifully ordered, symmetrical number that represents absolute cosmic perfection. But the moon, as we know, operates on a slightly shorter schedule. So, because the solar year is 364 days, the sun creates what the text literally calls a superabundance over the lunar cycle. Every single year, the sun outpaces the moon by exactly 6 days. Now, 6 days might not sound like a big deal, but remember, this ancient text is thinking in grand, long-term cosmic cycles. Over a 5-year period, those 6 days pile up to exactly 30 days of superabundance. The sun and the stars are now a full 30 days ahead of the moon.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it maps out this grand mathematical proof. You can really see the growing deficit here. Look at the data. In 3 years, you have 1,092 solar days, but only 1,062 lunar days. Over 5 years, it's 1820 solar days to 1770 lunar days. There's that 50-day gap the text mentions, combined with a 30-day shift. And finally, over an 8-year cycle, the math culminates at 2,912 solar days versus 2,832 lunar days.
And that brings us to the punchy climax of this ancient arithmetic, 80. By the end of that 8-year cycle, the moon has receded exactly 80 days. The text proudly states all the days she remains behind in 8 years are 80 days. It's incredible, right? The author has tracked the exact predictable divergence of the two greatest lights in the sky, literally down to the day.
So, the big takeaway here is that this beautifully complex math perfectly reconciles what otherwise looks like totally random chaos. The author's worldview perfectly sums this up, and the year is justly finished, in accordance with their stations. Even though the moon falls exactly 80 days behind, it doesn't matter, because it is all part of a predictable, repeating cycle through those celestial portals. The universe isn't random at all. It is governed by an exact, orderly system of justice.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating reflection, I think. Today, we rely on our phones and digital calendars to tell us the date. We rarely, if ever, look up to track the portals of the sun and moon. So, does our modern experience of time feel this perfectly just? Or have we lost touch with the meticulous physical clockwork of the celestial sky that so captivated the ancient world? Take that thought with you the next time you step outside and look up at the night sky. Thanks for joining me on this journey through ancient cosmic law, right here on The Explainer.